Hey, I just had an idea for a video I wanted to make. It's just kind of silly, and I'm curious your guys' thoughts on it. But I was talking to Blood Penguin one night about Marcus Wolfhardt's campaign, and it feels really cursed. And we talked about why. And then I thought, you know, honestly, this might be, I don't know how to call it, maybe not the most outdated, but the most abandoned. It's the most abandoned campaign in the entire game, maybe in my opinion. If you have a different one after hearing the criteria, feel free to let me know. I do think it's interesting, but like, all right. So here's the thing. Marcus Wolfhardt's campaign right now is so cursed, and it's pretty damn hard. Now, I'm sure if you're a pro campaign player, you can make it work. I'm not saying it's unplayable, but man, going into it as like a casual campaign player, I thought Karl Franz's campaign is pretty hard, but I really like playing the Empire. I'll go play a Wolfhard campaign. I haven't for a while. And making a few mistakes in the early game, I just felt it was completely unplayable, so you need to really lock in. And I was like, man, I don't remember it being this hard. It's crazy. So I went back to Warhammer 2 and I looked, and I got some ideas on why it's abandoned, and just CA maybe didn't think about Marcus Wolfhardt when they were putting factions down. So here's the current map, right? You spawn in the Temple of Kara. I have a mod on that lets me just see everything for the sake of this video. But it feels really tough right now as Marcus Wolfhardt because you're hard gated until you get enough acclaim or whatever. You can't get great swords, huntsman, which is weird. Honestly, you can't get huntsman. That's odd. But whatever. I can't get outriders, can't get Hawkland long rifles, can't get higher level knights, can't get cannons. So you have war wagons, flagellants, halberdiers, I guess, crossbows, some handguns and stuff, whatever. That's all you have to work with until you get some acclaim going. Sure, that's always been the case. And then to your north is Grand Cathay. They're going to usually beat the Savage Orcs. You can't expand to the north unless you want to betray an ally. In a sea of enemies, it is kind of weird to betray an ally. And we'll get to the specifics in a second. I'm just laying up the ground here. To your east, you have Bretonnia, another ally, which is kind of neat. South, you have Lizardmen, pretty usual Marcus Wolfhardt stuff. You start out fighting some Skaven and some Ruins. And then to the west, you have Dark Elves that are usually slapped pretty hard by T'Challa's new faction. And to the south, you have Tzeentch, who's usually slapped pretty hard by Skulltaker's new faction. Now, that is a little odd that two relatively new DLC factions, Skulltaker from the Omens of Destruction and the Mask from Tides of Torment, are both right next to Marcus Wolfhardt. Also, Yen Bo is relatively new. So a lot of relatively new characters got spawned right next to him. So this campaign feels cursed, and it didn't used to. But I do want to take a brief moment. So that's the current situation. Let's look back. So to look back, we have to go to my Photoshop. Meep. All right, this is Warhammer 2's start. So if you look around, to your north are Savage Orcs, no Cathay. On the west, I actually went over there with Marcus Wolfhardt. Those are just ruins. That's actually free expansion. You don't have to fight anybody. There's just ruins over there to the west where you see Marcus is sitting, right? I just took that over like there was no one in it. South is Lizardmen, Skaven, and then Vampire Coast on the east. And then to the north, you also have more Vampire Coast you can expand up there. Right. And then the start, I just took a picture, but we went through it in the live. You can see I expand with the Skaven a little bit, and I have Slaanesh and Khorne in my south, Lizardmen in my south, and then Cathay north, Bordello. So why I bothered with these pictures, and this is rambling, so welcome to the channel. I ramble, that's what I do. Think about what your starting army compositions are going to be. Your best state troop front line is going to be halberdiers for a while until you get a claim going, which the early game is the roughest part. Once you get rolling, you're fine. So you have halberdiers as a front line, right? You have archers, maybe huntsmen, some handgunners, maybe. But mostly your damage is coming from bow units and war wagons. And then you have these really powerful heroes that you get, Kalara and the Witch Hunter guy, the Templar, all that stuff. So you have heroes, a high melee defense front line, and then archers to do most of your damage with war wagons. Okay, and then basic Empire Knights, fair. So let's look at the factions around Marcus Wolfheart and Warhammer 2. Lizardmen to the south, Skaven, and then Vampire Coast and Greenskins. Okay. Vampire Coast's front line, pretty dog shit. Your halberdiers can hold, maybe even win. Your swordsmen can also win. Vampire Coast are countered by archers, just in general. So you have a crap ton of archers and huntsmen. War wagons are pretty useless in that matchup. Empire Knights are very good against the Vampire Coast in the early game. And the Vampire Coast are also really terrible at killing small infantry heroes. So Marcus Wolfheart is actually perfectly set up to kill some Vampire Coast. Great, he can go north and kill Vampire Coast, or he can go east and kill Vampire Coast. On the current map, he would have to get through Lizardmen and his ally Bretonnia to get to any Vampire Coast, and they're much further away, and there's none to the north. All right, rip. So no eastward expansion for you, maybe, and we'll get to the Warhammer 3 thing in a second. South, you can kill some Skaven. Yeah, early game Empire is pretty good against Skaven. Rat Ogres are the only mobility you're worried about. You can kill them with archers very easily. Without those in place, Skaven won't have Giselles this early in the game, so War Wagons can easily shoot the enemy lord or just act as chariots. Empire Knights can freely charge the backline, kill the Skaven slaves that these armies usually bring, and your Empire frontline will hold very well. So early game, Skaven, you're also fine. Lizardmen to the south, maybe the hardest faction to fight for Empire. Them or the Greenskins, but we're getting to that. So east is actually pretty good expansion for Wolfheart and Warhammer 2. West, as you can see, my Marcus Wolfheart is over there, is literally just ruins, so it's free. It's completely free to go over there. So you have that, but to go north and south gets a little trickier. Lizardmen in the early game, you have Saurus that are very hard for the Empire front line to deal with. You can hold for a while, but Saurus are just meat grinders, so it's brutal. It is brutal. I'm not pretending it isn't. Skinks you can hold relatively easily, but your archers are still pretty good at just mowing down infinite Saurus if you can keep them safe. War wagons solid. The feral cold ones and cold one riders of the Lizardmen are too slow to catch your war wagons, so war wagons can really just do infinite DPS. The Lizardmen have no fast cavalry or artillery that can threaten the war wagons, especially not in the early game. So if you just war wagon abuse, if you want to go south, you can do that and you can kill the lizards. Also, the lizards are still pretty bad at killing small single entities. They don't have really good duelists. They don't have really good infantry to surround those small single entities on foot and just kill them. So yeah, your single entities are still strong if you want to go south. Your archers are still okay, not great. And war wagons are going to be really, really good. Empire Knights will be fine too, but your front line will suffer, sure. But you can do it. It's a little hard. If you go north, different problem. Your front line is not going to do well. While the Saurus slowly grind through you, the Savage Orcs will blitz through front lines pretty quickly, especially with WoW. And then they have light cav. This is the first faction we're talking about that has light cav. So your war wagons aren't guaranteed to just ruffle stomp over any faction. The Vampire Coast can shoot them. The Greenskins can have Spider Riders and Wolf Riders that are really annoying to try and peel. Your Empire Knights will do okay there, but not great. So if the Savage Orcs decide to bring a bunch of light cavalry, war wagons can be tough. And even if they don't, if they just spam a 19 stack of Savage Orcs, your war wagons are going to have a pretty tough time doing significant damage. Archers will do okay here, but your front line's usually going to crumble so fast, your huntsmen and archers won't be able to do too much. Still, your single entities can carry you. Savage Orcs, a little scarier than anything we've talked about so far, but it's tricky. So going north is probably the hardest thing for Wolfheart in Warhammer 2. I'm not going to pretend it's like a great time, but you have options, right? You can go east or west for pretty much free. You can go south with a bit of difficulty, and north is a real challenge. Okay, we've set it up. Pretty decent campaign. And as you piss off Lizardmen, while you're fighting Lizardmen, while you're building your armies to fight Lizardmen, you will piss off Lizardmen, and occasionally a Lizardman army will just pop up, and you'll have to deal with that. Okay, we're already fighting Lizardmen. So let's focus back on Warhammer 3. What is different about that setup in Warhammer 3? A lot. So we kind of went through it a bit. Again, this is a rambling video. Just hope you're driving in your car and enjoying it or something. So to the north, you have Cathay. And to the east, you have Bretonnia. Now let's handle your allies. Now you might be like, Human Boy, you dumb piece of shit. CA tried to help you. They gave you 2 allies in the region. Order factions that generally like you. Yeah, but here's how I feel. I feel like they're not my bros backing me up in a fight. They're my bros saying, get him, Marcus, get him. Yeah, kill him. As like, they trapped me in a pen with like a rabid wolf. And I'm like, no, dude, like, let me out. I need room to back up, shoot my bow, do stuff, and they're just blocking you. They're blocking you from moving. So either if you treat them as allies, you've cut off 2 out of 4 regions I can expand into, north or east, because the Bretonnians usually beat the Lizardmen down there. So I can't go north or east. So I'm trapped with what we're going to get to next. But, Human Boy, you don't have to play honorably. Just because they're supposed to be your friends doesn't mean they have to be your friends. Kill them. Yeah, it's also really fucking hard for Marcus Wolfhard to kill these two. Both are heavy cav factions. Now, Jade Lancers aren't exactly like Grail Knights, but bear with me. So the Lizardmen were the only faction we talked about in Warhammer 2 that had heavy cav, and they were too slow to catch war wagons. Jade Lancers and Knights of the Realm, Knights Errant, they're also pretty slow, but they do okay at catching war wagons, especially if they get charge bonus, and they're shielded, which I guess Cold One Riders are shielded, but they're bronze shield, I think. Anyway, these shielded cheap knights are just like sprinting at your war wagons, and if your war wagons try and kite around, they'll get onto your archers and kill them, whereas Cold One Riders also just have a really hard time killing infantry for a long time. So these factions have heavy cav, which you're not great at dealing with in the early game because you don't have any armor piercing cav of your own. You can't get demigryphs or anything like that, obviously. Their front lines are also dog shit, and they also have archers. So you're kind of playing the same game as them, but Marcus is limited. Marcus is crippled because he can't get high tier units early until he gets that acclaim or whatever. So you can't like try and get great swords to punch through Jade Warriors. You can't try and get like Knights of the Blazing Sun to just get incredible charges onto the peasants of Bretonnia and break through their front line. You're just stuck with Empire Knights, which take forever to kill Bretonnian peasants, or Jade Crossbows. Oh god, it takes Empire Knights forever to kill Jade Crossbows. And you have nothing in the early game that can kill Yambo. Nothing. He's way too snaky and squirrely for your huntsman. So those are pretty cursed angles to try and aggress upon. And then also you are attacking your ally in the region, so you're leaving your flanks open to like bad guys. So they're doable. It's not impossible, but all of a sudden you took Vampire Coast in the east, which was easy for Marcus to beat, and replaced it with an ally that is a little difficult. And in the north, the Savage Orcs that I admitted were pretty hard, you replaced with Yambo, who's also pretty hard to beat. But then behind him are the Savage Orcs. So if you get through Yambo, you all of a sudden have to get through Savage Orcs, and you have to build your armies very differently to fight Cathay versus that. Because an army to fight 19 stacks of Savage Orcs is not the same to kill Peasant Long Spears, Jade Warriors, Jade Warrior Crossbows, and that kind of thing. So I think those two are pretty tough, and again, they're supposed to be your allies, but they're kind of pinning you in. But what are they pinning you in with? Sure, you get Skaven, one of the factions we mentioned, is your starting opponent. You can deal with them fine, and there's still Lizardmen to the south. That's fine. But here's where it gets really fucked. If you do what you're supposed to do, kill the Skaven, kill Lizardmen, you have DLC Slaanesh on your west that used to just be ruins. This used to be free territory, and now it's DLC Slaanesh. And to the south, if you get through the Lizardmen, there is DLC Khorne. Both of those are wildly different animals than what we talked about in Warhammer 2. So let's go with Slaanesh first. Normally in the west, there was nothing to contest with, but still, let's just take the Skaven example. So Skaven have Rat Ogres and a pretty dog shit front line. Your archers can do fine there. Slaanesh is not that. Slaanesh gets Seekers and Demonettes pretty early into this campaign, or Hellstriders. Hellstriders and Seekers can both obliterate war wagons, and Hellstriders do okay against Empire Knights. Seekers murder Empire Knights. So if there's Seekers involved, you have no mobility chance whatsoever. If Hellstriders involved, it's contested, but you can kind of maybe survive in the mobility. Well, okay, this is the first faction that outright obliterates you in the mobility. That's pretty bad, but at least your front line can hold, right? Fuck no. The best you can get is Halberdiers, and Demonettes tear them up. So your front line is getting massacred. Your flanks are completely fucked too. And it's just a horrible time. Slaanesh is so good against the Empire early, it feels. And again, I'm not Legend of Total War. I'm not like the best campaign player. This is just my opinion, right? So you could contest me and I could be totally wrong. I'm open to that. But it feels pretty fucking bad. And here's the thing though, is in some of the other matchups where your front line would get obliterated or whatever, your single entities could still do well. Slaanesh murders Marcus Wolfhardt's bros. Man, Demonettes and like the Lords and everything just massacres. Like I lost my dwarf engineer super quickly because he was with my huntsman giving them some buffs or whatever, and Demonettes got through the front line. The huntsman got obliterated, and I looked for him and he was like literally gone before I could even like send Empire Knights or something to respond. It was just Demonettes got through the front line. Oh, the Huntsmen are routing. Where is that guy? Oh, he's fucking dead. The Witch Hunter dies instantly, so it's like a thing that wasn't true in Warhammer 2. Savage Orcs were the closest to taking down your single entities. It wasn't great for your single entities to get stuck in the Savage Orcs, but if you get stuck in the Demonettes, you are just dead. And the Mask is like 70 plus speed, sprinting down any of my single entities. She can run down my war wagons. It's like, it's so cursed. So you just never want to interact with Slaanesh, especially before you get better front lines, like great swords. I guess they still get torn up by Demonettes. Like Empire can't beat Slaanesh in the front line, you know, they just can't. But like, it's rough. It's really rough until you get some higher tier artillery. Like, I don't know, I was doing okay with some fire rain rockets, just the Hellstorm rocket battery, sorry, just nuke them down, but that comes way later in the campaign. So it's like, God, how do you deal with Slaanesh? I honestly had to auto resolve a lot of things against them to stay alive, but yeah, Slaanesh is tough. Slaanesh is tough. Okay, so one of our angles is really fucking tough in my opinion, but you can go south, right? Like north and west, north and east are now difficult, and west is nearly impossible. You can go south. No, you can't, because Khorne exists, and Khorne is fucked, man. Khorne is so fucked in campaign. Skulltaker just brutalizes any of my single entities. Him and his Forsaken, or even his Marauders, honestly, do okay. Bloodletters do amazing. So his infantry, like Slaanesh's, can murder all of your super-powered single entities. Because Marcus Wolfhart in Warhammer 2, his campaign was kind of like, you know, Dungeons and Dragons role play, where you get these really powerful Witch Hunter and Waystalker and all this stuff, and like you're going through their quest. But then this Warhammer 3 is like Dungeons and Dragons, but your DM hates you and wants the campaign to be over, so he's just like, fuck it, I surrounded you with Bloodletters, and they all have plus 15 to hit, and if they hit you, you take 130 your HP, and fuck you, you're dead. Okay, I want to go play something else now. Like, it just sucks. You can't. Skulltaker and his bros can kill any of your single entities, and your single entities don't have good mount options. They can't even like outrun these guys. They just get massacred. Your front line's toast against Khorne, which is normal, but then the mobility game isn't even good still, because you don't have Demigryph Knights this early, obviously, so Fleshhounds are still harassing your war wagons. Against Khorne, the best option I could find is just war wagon, kite them as best you can. They'll do okay. It's not as bad as Slaanesh, but it's pretty fucking brutal. The auto resolves are usually awful against Khorne because they'll get those second armies very quickly, the little like rage ones. So I don't know. For me, by turn like, I don't know, 30, 35, I have 2 or 3 Khorne armies coming up, and each of them has an attachment that's like another second army. It's really brutal. So I think south is pretty rough too. Khorne is beatable. Khorne is beatable. It's tough, but I do think the order. Now let's refocus here. Let's go out of 10. All right, 10 is impossible to beat. 0 is completely easy. Completely easy. All right, so let's go back to whoa, that's League of Legends. I was listening to that while I set up these pictures. League of Legends. Anyway, all right, out of 10 difficulty. Eastward expansion, Skaven or Vampire Coast. That's a 2. Honestly, that's a 2. It's pretty easy to expand that way. South, Lizardmen, 4 or 5. West, literally no one in your way. 0. That doesn't get easier than no one. And then North, Savage Orcs, about 6 or 7. Right? So, pretty simple. Only one direction got above a 5. And one direction was literally a 0. Now, looking back at the current game, Eastward expansion, probably about a 4. Bretonia or Lizards, but Bretonia is going to win that. So Bretonia Lizards, about a 4. South through Khorne, probably about a 6. No, not a 6. A 7 or an 8. 7 or an 8. North through Cathay or Savage Orcs, I'm going to give that a 6 still. Same difficulty, just a different faction. And then West, instead of a 0, I'm going to put it at a 9. Almost unbeatable. Almost. You gotta play real smart. Don't take any for fun units. Don't do anything for fun. Just play real smart. So the difficulty went way up. But here's the fucked part. Here's the really fucked part in my opinion. And this one isn't as much difficulty, but just like a kick to the crotch to a man that's already down. So Wolfhart's campaign, as I hope I've shown, has gotten a lot harder. A lot harder. Because there's more factions that can kill your OP single entities. And then the fucking guy you're supposed to be fighting is literally across the world. So this is just part of the Marcus Wolfhart's campaign isn't the hardest in the whole game. I don't think. I don't also think I'm an expert enough to judge that. I'm just saying it got left behind and power crept as DLC factions were put next to him without a thought about his campaign. They were just thinking about the DLC campaigns. And to final nail in the coffin on that theory is fucking they moved Nakai across the entire world. So no one gave a shit about Marcus Wolfhart's campaign because his opponent got moved as far away from him as possible. He is so far away. So Wolfhart's campaign just got completely fucked. His opponent is as far away as literally possible. He got surrounded by allies that are actually more hurtful than helpful, and then he's also fighting counter factions now that are brand new, and he has his hands tied behind his back because of his campaign mechanics. They're supposed to be unique and interesting and fun, but for him they're just completely fucking him. And then here's the kicker. All right, so you have to fight either Khorne or Slaanesh or Bretonnia or Cathay, right? Because Tloxlan never makes it. Between you and Bretonnia, they're going to die. So you start building your armies, or maybe Zinj. You start building your armies to like minimize your front line. Honestly, you're minimizing your front line because look what's around you. You don't have great swords in the early game. So you're going to build just like spearmen against Cathay, maybe swordsmen, spearmen against Bretonnia, and then Slaanesh. I don't know if you even take a front line. Khorne, I don't know if you even take a front line. You might just like full try and kite them or cheese them or something, right? Right. But then as you fight Khorne and as you fight Slaanesh, you're pissing off the lizardmen somehow. So a lizardman army will appear out of fucking nowhere and you have to fight against that. But it's a completely different army because in the other campaign, you're still fighting lizardmen. As you expand south, there's more lizardmen. So you build your armies to fight the lizardmen, and then lizardmen armies appear, but you're like, my kit, my units are statted to fight lizardmen. This is fine. But fucking lizardmen just showing up because you're killing demons, one, makes no lore sense. Why are they pissed at you for killing demons? Like, are they pissed at you for being an Illustria in general? Sure, but why does killing demons make them more upset? Shouldn't they be helping you fight the demons? Or like, lizards are also fighting the demons, you might run into it. But anyway, these armies that just pop up out of fucking nowhere are really annoying, and then also they're entirely different. So like when we talked about how to handle lizardmen, it's like you take a front line with heavy melee defense and some archers, but also you really need to use war wagons against them. Well, war wagons are literally useless against Slaanesh. They're okay versus Khorne, but I don't know. Your armies are just going to be weird compositions. All sorts of different factions trying to do different things are all coming at you, and it just feels really fucking tough. So anyway, I just wanted to point out this video that poor Marcus Wolfhart got the shaft. CA said, listen, buddy, your campaign's gonna be pretty fucked up for a little bit. So there's my stupid rant. Hopefully you got some enjoyment out of it. Again, I don't know if it's actually the hardest campaign of the game. It's hard. It's very hard. But I didn't take the time and sit down and think about every single campaign and think about every single interaction and say which is the hardest. But I did think this one was just funny. Like, Nakai moved all the way across the world, and that's what like got me to think about this, because I was like, wait, why is Nakai so far away? Like, I can't fight him as Wolfhart. I can't go find him or anything. Huh. And then I started looking around and I'm like, you know what? A lot of this is pretty fucked up. This campaign sucks. I mean, it's fun. It's fun if you're like me and you just enjoy messed up challenges. But I don't think it's like fair or balanced to Wolfhart. Poor guy. He has to get through so many not lizardmen to get to fighting lizardmen again. After Tloxlan dies. You go like, all right, gotta fight probably Slaanesh, definitely Khorne, maybe Zinj, maybe Nurgle down here to get back into the lizardmen territories. But he definitely suffers the most from Bretonnia being here, because that used to be a Vampire Coast faction, which was really easy to expand into. So once my final notes will be going back to the Warhammer 2 map. I mean, like, after all that conversation, once again, just reminding you, there's one faction that can maybe kill your heroes. It's the Savage Orcs. And then in the actual game, there's two factions now that can definitely kill your heroes. And if you go north, there's still the Savage Orcs anyway. So your heroes are less effective in the current campaign. There was free expansion to the east and west, which is no longer there, and south was mildly difficult, which now the south is pretty difficult, and there's no free expansion at all. So, yeah, Wolfark's campaign got a lot harder, but I still enjoy it. All that to say, I still enjoy it. I really like difficulty, and if you've watched any of my campaign streams, which are few and far between, but I'm generally just kind of a chill campaign player. Like, I do things that I want to that sound fun, rather than min-maxing, or, you know, I don't tend to like corner camp or cheese the AI or do any of that stuff. I tend to just fight pretty regular. So these campaigns are really difficult when I play the way I like to play, and I enjoy it. I enjoy sometimes losing a campaign. Shit happens. Anyway, goodbye.
Subscribe, yes.